Good evening and welcome to Edessa the Dark Crusade. Tonight we start our scene in Madeline's somewhat humble, refuge within the city of Edessa, where she spends some time. Well, she's begun to spend a little bit more time another place, but that is not what we are looking into tonight. Tonight she's once again reading, and there's a couple of servants about, but at one point, um, there will be a knock at the door. She's not expecting company, so she gets up. None of the servants are near. It doesn't bother her. She gets up and will open the door.
There's probably a thin young man there, someone old enough to be running about on their own, but young enough to still be definitely fleet of foot. And he looks a little out of breath, looks as though he's been hurrying, looks as though he's stopped and straightened his tunic before he knocked. But a little bit flushed in the face. And he bows to Madeline and says that Sister Johanna is desirous of a moment of your time if you're not busy. She begs an audience.
Well, no, that is fortunate. Good news. Please carry word back that she is most welcome. In, well, give me a little bit of time to prepare. I will be happy to receive her.
He bows very deeply and then turns to leave in one of those walks that is as stately as he can make it, but you get the sense he's going to break back into a run as soon as he thinks he's out of eyesight. Eyesight.
I can hear you running, you bastard. um, Madeline will get in. We'll fetch some goblets and maybe get a little refreshment on the table. She won't open it. She needs to wait till it needs to be drinking to begin to open it. It gets cold and unpalatable quite fast. But
what dice roller would you like to be in?
one of them?
Okay. Let's go with dice roller 1. As Johanna will be making a roll immediately upon arriving. The runner returns to her, and she slows her step so that it will take her a little longer to give Madeline time to do whatever she wants, so that Johanna's arrival is not rude. But eventually she arrives at the door and knocks quietly.
I'm sorry, did she knock or what? Sorry?
Yeah, she knocked.
Okay, but didn't you say that you wanted to do a roll? But I don't see any roll. That's
Sorry. Did you want to set up or do you want me to set up? What's the name of the scene?
Oh, you can just call it, just say scene starts or something.
Okay. It's a manip sub roll, not a she's not sneaking up to the door.
Yeah. We're not doing combat. That's good to know.
Correct. She has not decided to take out her angst by beating the shit out of Madeline. No, that's not where we're starting tonight.
Madeline will head up and just tighten her clothing and just come up to the door and we'll open it and just say, good evening. Please, come inside.
She has 2 successes. She looks quite composed. She leans forward to kiss Madeline's cheeks and then steps in the doorway smiling politely. Good evening, Madeline. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Likewise.
I hope I'm not intruding.
No, you had the good courtesy of sending a messenger.
I wouldn't dream of coming unannounced unless it were an emergency. And it's
Well,
certainly not an emergency.
well, I would not mind too much, given that it is you. However, an unannounced visit is perhaps considered impolite some places. When it is you who is coming to visit, I cannot see it as anything else than a joy. Please, come, sit. And there is again a closed book with a bookmark in it, lying on the
Uh-huh.
table. You don't recognize. I mean, do you have academics?
Do I have academics? I have some. What do I have academics? I have 2 dots of academics.
This book is very worn, and you don't recognize the title. It's in Greek.
Okay. Johanna does not read
It's
Greek.
okay. Well, okay then.
Does she read? No, she doesn't read Greek.
I mean, it's Greek is like it's known that Greek and Latin is actually more Greek is the formal language when it comes to scholarly stuff
Absolutely.
in general at this time.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, Madeline just pushes the book to the side and just sits down, produces 2 goblets, and pours vitae, or not vitae, but mortal blood into them, and just passes you one. Just takes a sip herself, and just leans back and just say, "So, what do I owe the pleasure of your company?"
Merely to the pleasure of your own company. I had reason to desire it tonight.
Oh,
Indeed. It is a night of victory the florist has been dealt with and will not show his face again.
that is good to know.
Indeed. I have a request of you.
Oh,
Indeed. I hope you will not mention what I told you before about his clan. He has been sent from the city and will no longer trouble anyone here. And when she says sent from the city, her expression kind of suggests that that might be a euphemism.
Madeline just looks at her, nods very slowly, looks at her again, studies her. She'll just, well, you say it should not be, I mean, if he has been put in a place where it is impossible for him to come and, well, bother the city again. I do not see any problem in it, but of course, this is assuming that this solution is done as well. Well, I hope that the people involved, you included, have done a better job than to dissuade the person's initial actions. I would not say that that was handled, or their education into our lives. Our existence was not handled in the best way. I hope this solution is a little better.
Sorry, what's she referring to?
She's saying, yeah, that was a little convoluted. Sorry, out of character. She's saying that she hopes that the job of the solution to this, like having him sent away, whatever that means, was done
Uh-huh.
better. Was done better than educating him, as in not breaking the silence, not making these things because he could, or whatever sick reason he had to doing it. That was not like something obviously was wrong and someone fucked up educating him. That's what she's
Ah,
implying.
I see.
And she's just saying, like, if it's the same people, what she's implying is if it's the same people who said, oh, yeah, this guy is totally good and a totally good member of a society who have now dealt with the problem, she's not necessarily convinced that that is going to be enough.
Uh-huh. Fair enough. Johanna is going to look absolutely sure that everything is just 100% taken care of. I'm just going to roll this right here. 2 successes to look absolutely sure that, yep, everything is taken care of. Everything is great.
I'm going to be an asshole and roll towards that because this is actually where Madeline would be like, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to. Yeah, I'm not going to use. Yeah, all right, all right.
Yep, Johanna looks confident that
Yeah.
that everything is well and taken care of.
Madeline
Things are
just,
good.
Madeline just says there, well, I will not divulge this information
Thank you
unless
kindly.
certain, if it would happen that this becomes a problem again and a investigation is needed, and I am asked, well, then I might be able to, well, have to divulge this information, but
Of
that will not
course.
be an eventuality, of course.
Exactly. If by some mad chance it ever came up again, perhaps if he has followers that I have not known about to deal with yet, I hope you'll tell me immediately.
Oh, I think you will know regardless of whether or not I tell you.
That
But
is my hope. I understand others have been wronged, but I think myself most grievously, at least recently. And I hope that any mistakes I have made fall only on my own head.
I would not want that.
You're very kind, Madeline. My head is very hard and can take a beating.
I do believe that I did that once myself.
Indeed you have. Indeed you have. And I survived, and consider
Yes, you did.
myself blessed for it.
Why? It is not the way I usually hurt people, but
She raises an eyebrow. I hope you're not telling me that that injury was intentional.
no. Normally, when I intend to do harm, it is actually not in the. It is not meant to be a force for survival. Only very few times I've had to resort to this. It is something different. I do induce pain sometimes, but it is not to harm. It is in quite another employ.
Johanna's hands clasp in her lap. An interesting philosophical question raised there, but I think I will not pry.
Well, if you one day should have the interest to pry, I am always willing to teach or to inform, whatever your heart's desire is, or whether you are just curious.
I think I have learned enough of pain. There are many other things to learn about.
Well, I would disagree with that. If you shun pain at all costs, as I think from what I can tell, your road would suggest that pain is just irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. If you do this, I would not say you have learned enough from it, but that is again my perspective.
I shall have to ask my mentor what he thinks of pain. Perhaps I'm not wise enough yet to give a good answer to that. Squeamishness is certainly not suggested by my road.
Nor by mine.
It behooves no woman to be squeamish. Our lives are full of enough blood and pain and mess.
If anyone would have said that I would have in my life in general, well, existence, after I stop having my, well, after we stop bleeding every month, and then that someone would have said after that you would have more blood in your day-to-day life, I would have called them mad or liars, but here we are.
Amen. Here we are. Alas.
With
Or
that,
perhaps
Madeline,
not.
take the drink.
Johanna starts to laugh and actually raises her glass in a toast. Here we are.
Quite the
Indeed.
strange toast indeed, but oh well, I will take it.
Is it strange to toast blood
No,
for kindred?
no. It's just an odd remark of myself. I just made. To toast to that seems a little unusual. Normally it is for the night to keep you, or for the blood to satisfy your palate or something like that. Not to what we have lost. The,
Oh no. I take nothing, no grief at a loss from your words.
well,
Only an
I mean in
acknowledgement
the
of
sense that
further truth.
we will never be, we will never bear a child again.
I have borne quite enough children myself. I see no need to do it again. Tell me, do you have a child?
In what sense? She smiles.
Well,
I know, I know. I have one of each, at least, for now.
one of each.
Yes. Lucian, my first, is my childer. He lives in this city. And then there is a child I do not know.
A mortal.
Yes.
that you do not know?
No.
What has happened to her?
Him.
I
His son.
apologize. Him.
Well, I was mortal. I was dying. What? I sold myself. I endured quite a few things that many would die of. And as I sold myself, I became a child. I could not care for it. I could not support it. So I gave it to a family that would care for it. A farmer's family. They had but one child. They seemed to, well, appreciate it, although they did not trust me, but they took the child in and, well, it was only by happenstance that I was able to convince someone to actually transport the child to this place. I did not deliver it myself, but
Oh no.
those days are long behind me. It was before I became kindred. You'll see Madeline. Actually, I need to roll this.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be 2 successes.
Oh, defender wins.
Yeah, the defender wins, but yeah, Madeline seems quite calm when she says this, and sure, it's not fun. It's not, but she seems to hold her composure quite well, and she seems to be. She seems to be fairly calm about this.
Okay. Madeline watches her very intently, afraid to tread on old wounds. But Madeline seems calm, and so she nods and doesn't pry, though she shifts just slightly in her seat. Thoughtfully. Well, I'm less interested in mortals. Tell me, why did you choose your child? I'm in a mood for stories. If you'd rather not indulge me, I will
No,
not press.
no. We can talk stories. First, though, I would like to hear of your children. You said you had had more than enough. How many are you the mother for?
I have to double check. I think she had 3 sons. 1 second. It's 3. Yeah, 3 sons. Before I was embraced, I had 3 healthy sons. I've had no children since my embrace.
I see.
They were good boys.
That is the problem, no? This child I left is long gone now. Maybe his children, if you had any, are dead as well. You can roll perception empathy again.
Oh, yes, gonna do it. 2 successes.
There's something in Madeline's voice that seems to know that she knows more than she's letting on.
Oh,
You're,
okay.
maybe she's keeping tabs on this person or whoever is, if that person had children.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she already knows, but she seems to be letting you on to know that she has no idea.
Oh. Is Johanna gonna let her know? Let's roll for it. Let's just roll for it and see. 1 minute sub. Five successes to look like she has no idea that she caught on that there might be some mystery there. She sits back, excuse me, and shakes her head. I have been fortunate enough to hold my grandchildren's children. I keep close tabs. Perhaps that is why I have not found anyone who interests me as a child. I still see babies born.
Perhaps one day I will return to where I was, my home country. As much as you can call it my home country. I have spent most of my existence southeast of it, in the Holy Lands and other places. But, well, perhaps there is some people who are descendants. Maybe I will visit them one day. Who knows?
If you go home, I hope you'll write me, wherever I am. Perhaps I will come and see if I can help you find them.
I thank you for the offer.
I would enjoy the search. And sometimes Auspex can help with such things.
Oh, I know it can. She smiles. Almost knowingly.
Yeah, Johanna's going to raise her brows at that, curiously, and smiling slightly, amused.
That is only 7. She is going to activate Auspex. And reducing the difficulty by 2.
Wow, that's a good roll.
Yeah, that's 3 successes or so. What would you say that your 2 major emotional things are right now?
Oh, man. Oh, that's hard. Right now, Johanna is feeling a lot of things right now. There is a deep dissatisfaction in her. Along with a much more shallow fondness. She's literally scratching an itch by coming to see Madeline, and I think that's probably both the itch and the relief from the scratch are there. If that makes any sense.
Oh yes, oh yes. Madeline just looks at her, like she stares at you for a little while, and she just says, I have learned quite a few things in my days, and I know that Auspex can help because I can see that you are somewhat conflicted right now. I have learned this, Lisette. So yes, I know very well.
Then perhaps I'll be no help to you at all.
Well,
This is not.
I would welcome your company.
Your company is always a pleasure.
I hope that you are not bitter because of anything I have said or done.
No. No, not at all. Not in the least.
So it was something before you came.
Yes. You're very perceptive. Of course.
Well, I will not pry, but and I will refrain from asking or being intrusive. I will help you relax. My child in this city, Lucian, I found him, well, I have to believe it was the first time I was on my own, you see. I had just left my sire. A despicable person, but my sire nonetheless. And I needed I needed a place to stay for a longer period of time. So I was in Nicaea or Antioch, I cannot remember, but a bit west of here, northwest. And most men, after my embrace, I could, well, wrap around my finger. But I
Indeed.
also saw them not looking, well, thinking with their nether quarters and not much more. Lucian was one of the first people. He was also a little older, not much, but a little older. He did not have a wife. He did not have the biggest circle, but he was very effective as a merchant. And when I smilingly came to his shop,
Hmm.
he was apprehensive. He was very careful, very perceptive of my motives. I became intrigued. I liked him for that. And, well, I gave him something to drink instead of me drinking from him. And then
I
he came
see.
to trust me. He followed me here, along with what we had, the two of us. I told him, as soon as I had given him the third drink, I told him everything. And he trusted me more, and we have trusted each other since then. He followed me here, and, well, after my sitting in for Ulrich as prince, well, Baron Prince, by proxy for a couple of years when he had to leave for Constantinople, I left on my own accord, left everything behind to further my studies into my clan's more unique attributes. And before I left, I asked him if he wanted to become my child in blood.
I
He
see.
accepted, and I stayed for a couple of months. He knew most of it, but made sure that my boy was fully capable. He is a careful and very tactful person, very intelligent. He did not need much training. Of course, staying with me for some years had made him aware of most of my needs and now his needs. So,
Of course. And he stays in the city still.
yes, he does. One of
Do
the
you love
good,
him?
oh, very much so.
I hoped you would say that.
He was as happy as I was that I returned here. It was one of the really good things of God coming back. Meeting him, meeting Ulrich. That was very joyous.
I hope there were many, many good things.
Oh,
About coming back.
undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. One of them is something I'm still wondering how to proceed with, or in the best way of examining it. But it's a
One of the
mystery that will probably take centuries to solve.
Sometimes that is the best kind of mystery.
Indeed,
No?
indeed it is.
I think that is why we are so long lived,
Quite
to
so.
enjoy such mysteries.
Do you enjoy these puzzles?
Oh, very much. Very much. It is one reason that I chose my road.
The puzzle of death.
Yes. Is there a greater puzzle than death?
It is a grand one, but well, I do believe that there are things to concern oneself about before attempting to answer this puzzle, but that is just my, my prerogative, of course.
Need it be before? Of course we can do more than one thing at once.
Oh, of course. Of course we can. I just find other things more intriguing.
Such as? Be specific. I will enjoy it.
Um, I don't know if you want me to roll for it, but Madeline will. Yeah, you'll see the light, or rather the shadows in the room, all kind of twist. Like it's like the two candles that are in the room. It's almost like they're rotating
Mm-hmm.
and getting like the light is dying down. Um, it gets like all of the shadows like kind of twist around you or around the room, and it becomes quite dark. And then Madeline just sits there.
Johanna sits up straighter as the room darkens. One eyebrow raises, and she knows which direction Madeline's in. In fact, she can see quite well in the dark, but she kind of automatically pretends she can't, without really thinking about it. And as the room darkens, she just lifts her head and, wearing a private smile, just kind of waits.
As it dies down, you will notice that Madeline just smiles. That is one of the specific things.
Is it pleasurable, playing with the light? I apologize. I think I've spoken badly, but I do not know how better to say it.
But you'll notice that Madeline doesn't seem to have pupils anymore. Like her eyes are just one black phase. There is no white in her eyes. It's just completely black eyes.
Neat.
And as she looks at you and she says, "Playing with the light is, it can, if someone has been annoying towards you, it is quite fun to scare them, but well, it is not these simple forms that honestly intrigues me. You have seen yourself some of the more intriguing things."
Yes. Yes, indeed. Very intriguing indeed, though I confess I was not able to study them as much as I might have liked at the time.
Well, I am sure we can come to an agreement if you wish to see it further. But being being this, it is quite indescribable to become a very almost immaterial thing to be able to fit through under a door or through a keyhole. You do not need more. You can fit yourself in, and not really being certain, not having limbs anymore, but still being yourself is an almost indescribable thing.
Truly, that sounds remarkable. How strange. Have you written about it? Poetry?
Perhaps I should.
You should. Oh, you should. Certainly. It would be a crying shame if you did not.
What should be the title of such poetry? The Shadow of the Holy Land? No. The Black Route? No. Merely passing in the night? No. I suppose I should talk with you or one of your clients to get some of the details in place, I suppose. But, well,
It sounds as though you're trying to describe the touch of darkness. That is what I should like to read about.
it is quite a thing.
I look forward to your poetry. Very much.
Oh, I look forward to. I doubt it will be good. Well, I would doubt it will be anything that would not be able to be outdone by, well, The likes of you or someone from your clan.
You are a woman who is immersed in beauty in many ways.
Oh, yes.
I would not doubt my own skill if I were you. And I should hate to see you do so, since I am not you.
I would say it is because I know myself that I doubt that it would be better than a Toreador with maybe 100 years of experience in such fields. I have not. I have read a lot of poetry, sure, but written any? No. Some Toreador have spent hundreds of years doing this. I do believe that I would not be as good as them. No?
You're right. Of course. And I say so without any insult meant to you.
Why?
My clan specializes in such things. It would be amiss of me not to recognize that.
Well, it would, but do not take me. Do not misunderstand me. I really do appreciate your kind words. But perhaps I should write a poem or a bit of literature on this.
Please do.
I would that you would have experienced it, but you did fall unconscious when I began to carry you across the roof tracks.
Yes, I'm afraid that I had a bit of a moment of weakness and my scholarly ambitions were not realized in that particular instance.
I do believe that getting out alive was our primary concern. Well,
Very much
our
so.
only concern, so the fact that we both survived was quite good.
Yes. Yes, it was.
You can We can meet at some place. We do need some room, but it would be possible for me to show this for you to truly embrace it, truly appreciate what I would consider my focus of study. Well, one of them.
Explain what you mean. I'm intrigued.
Well, you said that your pursuit was the scholarly pursuit of death. Mine is of whatever it is I manipulate, whatever I can turn into. It is that of, for lack of a better word, strife. That which so many people turn away from. That which harms us, that which causes us pain. It is that I am specialized most in. And for people to embrace it, how to take it and meld people in a way to improve themselves and not pity themselves.
She sits back in the dark.
The lights are back to normal now.
Oh, good. Okay.
So,
She sits back in the lights.
yay!
I respect you as a scholar. And I owe you my life already once. It would be ungrateful of me to mistrust your intentions.
Why? One should always have a little mistrust in everyone's intentions, but you can trust me, she says, and she makes a face that it's clear that she's undercutting what you just said. It's semi-humorous, so she knows that it probably sounded dumb. And then she will just get up and just. Do you read Greek?
No, I should. I do not. Latin, yes. Not Greek.
Oh. Well.
I learned to read the scriptures.
Most of us did. Those,
Yes.
one way or the other, associated with the good church.
The good church.
A topic that will always make sparks fly between the two of us, and more people, I suppose. But, well, let us not get into that at the moment.
Indeed. I have been insulted enough this evening.
Ah, I see.
Out of character, Madeline's house is where in the city?
A merchant's district.
Yes, Alex, it's in the Merchants District.
Okay. There's. Oh, okay. It's quite late in the night, I imagine. So sound will travel. And there's quite a lot of sound coming from outside. A very large, deep bark penetrates the middle of the night and continues. It's a kind of not like a sound of a dog that you would normally hear. It's just a very loud, echoing bark.
Who would be out at this time?
There's also it's followed by a sort of scuffling and men's voices. Incoherent.
Give me a moment, please.
Of course. She also rises to her feet, so unless Madeline gestures her to not follow, Johanna, curiosity will bring her with.
Madeline's eyes return to normal, but she gets up and she'll just open the door, just look outside, see what's going on.
It's a group of about 4 men, with Thorvald standing in the middle, and they seem to be in good spirits, cheering, but they're drunk. And obviously, they've carried on following him after he left the pits and have wandered into the merchant district, where they are just sort of following him about. It just looks like it's become a little bit tiresome. The dog's barking at them now to try and get them to go away, but they're jingling their coins and falling over each other.
Madeline sticks her head in. Joseph, I do believe that our companion from 2 nights back seems to be heading home. You did announce your presence, but I would not mind another uninvited guest. She smiles at Johanna and she will just go out and she will just watch. Is Torvald doing anything at this point?
He looks half he's wearing leather trousers and boots, but he's covered in what looks to be like war paint or woad. It's a bit difficult to see. I don't know whether you have any sort of night vision or specs or anything. He's he doesn't seem to be being aggressive to them or anything like that, but they're just following him. He seems to sort of ignore them for the best part. The dog, he puts his hand down to the dog to quiet its barking and carries on walking as the men eventually get tired of following him and wobble off in various different directions.
Wobble, stumble, crawl, whatever the
Yeah,
intoxication level would
puking,
dictate.
probably puking. It looks like they've had way too much to drink. Looks like they've won quite a bit of money. They don't look like they look probably like merchants or merchant class type men.
Trouble, you will see, well, depending on how good you look, you can see in the dark. Someone who looks familiar come towards you and just say, "Good evening."
You see his eyes flash very brightly, quite quickly. If you're aware of what protein level 1 looks like.
Ooh, neat. I'm not. Can you tell me what that looks like?
It's basically it gives you sort of animal eyes, so you can see
neat.
in the dark.
Okay.
So you get in Thorvald's case, they're kind of like wolf's eyes or a dog's eyes. They reflect very briefly, and they glow.
There is a slight glow to them.
He looks. He doesn't seem to. At first, he's not sure what the shadow is, so he looks at it, and then deactivates the power once he realizes it's Madeline.
You will see in Madeline as she's standing there at some distance. You could swear at a point when she's looking at you, it looks like she's staring a bit at you, but it also looks for all the world like her eyes are just these two black orbs. There are no white in the eyes. It's just completely black eyes. But you're not quite sure. There's a bit of a distance. But Madeline will just curtsy and just say, "So, you have been Lady Luck to these fine people who, well, by now are making their way home."
He smiles slightly, takes a few steps forward so that he doesn't have to raise his voice across the distance between them. Despite the fact that he's been in the fighting pits, he doesn't seem to have any fresh wounds of his own. There is a slight smell of blood about him, but you can tell it's not kindred blood. Came out with it's like spattering, mixed in with the dark blue of the road. He bows his head. Sister. A bit late for a lady such as yourself to be wandering the streets. I'm sorry that we knocked you out.
Well, I was just discussing with Lady Joanna, as you know, the three of us met not too long ago. She is giving me a visit. I very much enjoy her company. I'm sure she would not mind you. You are welcome to join us, of course.
He looks at his attire, or lack thereof. The, the trousers and the boots sullied with dust and mud. I wouldn't want to bring my filth into your home.
You can tell by where you're standing that Madeline's smile grows as she comes over. She doesn't run over, but she comes over and just puts an arm under your arm and begins to lead you inside. As she says, "Nonsense, please. It is quite all right. I have a few servants to take care of that. That is not a problem. Please come in."
He doesn't protest too much. He indicates to the dog seemingly with a sort of nod. And the dog wanders down the street and lays down nearby. Out of the way.
As you get in, Madeline closes the door lightly, and she will just say, "Oh, and welcome. This is my humble home. Oh, and I do believe that you remember Joanna. She was just visiting."
Johanna's stood up and she offers a smile, giving him a curious look.
How well lit is the room? Is it dark or is it candlelit?
There's a couple of candles. You can it's fairly well lit.
He's you can see in the light the various numerous, in fact, scars all over his torso. They don't look, most of them don't look recent, probably years old at a medical guess. Faded, some thick, some faint. They go up until his collarbone. But the neck and the face and the head seem to be, unblemished.
When she sees that he's bloody, she clasps her hands behind her back. But she's still smiling. You said he's App 3?
He's at 3, yeah.
And not wearing a shirt. She smiles. She's a Toreador.
He's pretty well. I mean, as you would imagine, someone that does a lot of hard labour. He's no bodybuilder, but he's well built. But if it wasn't for if his face had been marked, he wouldn't be at app 3 at all. But he probably doesn't look app 3 right now. He probably looks for app 1 because he's covered in wine, pit, and sweat. Very unpleasant.
Notice that Madeline just shows you a seat at a table, and she will go get a goblet. Either Madeline is used to this, which is weird given how you're dressed and how it seems impromptu, but she seems quite calm and quite relaxed with the way you're dressed and everything. But she will get a goblet for you, and she will present you with a goblet with blood in it.
He takes it, looks at it. Looks around, seeming a little bit uneasy about drinking it.
Johanna will notice his unease and she'll settle back down in her own seat and lift her own glass in a toast that seems to be entirely sincere. To your health. And then she'll sip out of her own goblet.
He will take a sip, sniffing it. He doesn't actively refuse it, but he doesn't down it either. He just seems a bit cautious about the whole thing.
As I asked before, it seems that Torvald had some admirers who, I do not know if they had plans on following you home. Perhaps they gave up in the middle of it, but they seem to be quite taken aback by you.
He puts the goblet down and looks to Madeline. Do you have water?
Of course. One moment. And, like, she will return a minute later. She won't be alone. Um, there's a woman with her. Uh, she seems like it's a servant, but yeah, she comes in with some rough towels, but also with a pot of water.
He takes the water and the towels the from the servant and nods and begins sort of washing off the paint. It comes off quite easily. It's obviously designed to do so.
Madeline just sits there and sips her blood and takes in the spectacle, the show. I don't know.
It's Richard. He sort of hunches over to do it, so he doesn't. He seems careful not to.
Well, Madeline enjoys it anyway.
He makes it. He seems quite ritualistic. It's something he must have done thousands of times. It doesn't take him very long. But he cleans the blood and the paint from his body and his face.
We were telling stories.
Stories.
Yes.
What kind of
Do you like
stories?
stories?
He brings the towel out. Depends. What kind of
On?
stories were you telling?
History.
Of lineage of one's children,
Yes.
one way or the other.
What stories do you enjoy?
I prefer to live in the moment.
I believe that they will say no.
Indeed.
I hear a lot of stories. Sometimes, late at night, the servants and I tell ghost stories or fantasy stories, fairy tales. But mostly as a distraction. I find the best way to live. He says live with a little bit of added sarcasm. Is in the moment. Here and now.
An admirable sentiment, and one I can understand.
I suppose.
There's as you, I'm sure, both well know, a large turn of life and death in the world, and I find some people get lost in stories, their own or the stories of others.
Well, I would say that you are partly correct. I would also make the claim that those who do not listen to anything of the past, of any stories, not contemplate their past or anyone else's past, can have trouble in their futures, but again, that is my perspective.
He nods.
I am sure that certain things in the fights you have endured, the pains you have to endure, have taught you things.
They've taught me that very little changes in the world of men.
Oh, is
Some
that for the better?
sometimes. I mean, I've seen great improvement, some improvement, but in the reality, very little changes. We are, or we were, at least, and some of us still remain slaves to our impulses.
Hana just kind
That's
of sits back and drinks deeply from her cup.
so.
But you are not a slave to your impulses, are you? You are a slave to someone else's will. As far as I can understand you.
He tilts his head at Madeline. We are all slaves to someone else's whim, sister. We follow our prince because order and structure is the way of the world. However,
Yet, if I wished so, as I did once I left this city on my own accord, did not wish to listen to anyone anymore, and then I came back
why?
because I wanted to, because I could. I had the freedom to do this, and I expressed it.
He sort of wipes some dirt from his hands and wrings the towel away, contemplating. His face looks contemplative. Mm. So, is that because you are? It's easier for you to be here than it is to be elsewhere. I imagine a woman such as yourself could fit herself in with pretty much anywhere with no issues. Power,
Well,
beauty, intelligence. But some places are easier to fit in than others.
there were other
Comfortable.
things. There were certain my studies required well certain geographical changes from a desert.
Hmm.
Certain things cannot be studied as easily in some places. There are some other places that well requires a bit of travel that makes certain inquiries a lot easier.
You know, he takes a very small blade out of his boot. It doesn't look like a combat blade. It looks like more like something that you would shave with. He dips it in the water, swishes it around, and puts it to the parts of his, well, I wouldn't say it was a beard. It's more like a 5 o'clock shadow. And to the base of his neck, where his head's shaved up until sort of the bottom of his skull crown. Just taking the parts out, pieces of skull and whatever.
He what?
Just pieces of other people's brains.
That's what I thought you said. Okay.
No, it's not quite that bad. It's a little bit. He just seems to be making sure that he's perfectly clean.
Mm-hmm.
Immaculately clean. Nails, hands.
An interesting profession, if not mind-shattering for some, I assume.
What's an interesting profession?
A fighter, warrior.
It's not my profession. It's how I make money, which I'm sure you could say is your profession, but it's not my aim. It's not my purpose.
What is your purpose?
In the long run, to unify or attempt to unify in my own way the balance between man and beast.
As we all are, hopefully. Well, not everyone is, but those not concerned with such things are not those people who live the longest among mankind.
Even a little jealous, Madeline. Man knows his purpose.
Even the educated, elevated Sister Madeline is a slave. Even if her brain, well,
Trust me.
if her heart still beats, which I'm sure it just no longer does for either of us. The heart wants what it wants, but the brain tells you that we're all part of a system.
We are a part of a system.
And I'm sure
But
if you wanted to, you could go march through those gates, unfurl your cloak and your fingernails and your teeth, and bear them to the whole court, but you would be gone, and many others would be gone if they tried the same thing. It's best not to fight the system, but to improve it piece by piece.
I have been a slave. I know what it is like to be a slave in more than one way. And I am not one anymore.
He smiles softly. Looks to Johanna.
I have never been a slave. But I am most interested in the wisdom that it has gained the both of you.
I know you are.
I do not know you well, Thorvald, but Madeline is a very wise woman. If you can compare with her even a little, I shall certainly enjoy your company in the nights to come.
To be a woman in this world is not an easy task. Far less to be a beautiful one.
Good to see that you have some sense.
Very few things in this world are easy.
My sire was a powerful woman in a world that is different to this one. A world where women of education and standing were given almost equal respect.
Were they?
I think shifting as it is to this place to the new world is strange for her.
I can only imagine.
Though she is old enough and strong enough to bend anybody or break anybody that gets in her way. Some people break things, and some people bend like a blade of grass. I've seen both. Neither one is right or wrong.
Which are you?
He smiles. Depends on the night.
Well said. A very good answer. Which are you, Madeline?
I think we both know the answer to that question.
I want to hear her say it.
What is it that you wish me to say?
Do you stand firm against the world, or do you bend?
Perhaps not the answer you are looking for, but every time the world bends me, I learn and I become stronger.
If you had answered with a story, I would have brought you a present.
I hope I did not disappoint by not answering you in a way you had envisioned or wanted.
No, I'm not disappointed.
Thorvald leans back and watches you two for a moment, silently, drinking from the Vita.
I think that I shall have to translate that to mean the former, then. That you stand firm and have learned to heal. Yes?
Healing is somewhat easy. Accepting the lessons forced upon one is a bit harder.
Accepting the lessons forced on one.
Indeed.
As Johanna repeats that, he seems to sort of very unconsciously rub the back of his neck where there's a quite large, the deepest scar that he has is on the back of his neck, to the shape of that's not equivalent. My brain. So it's Latin or Roman in origin. It seems to be the number 8.
Interesting.
Or with a slight femininity to it almost.
Oh, what to it? Sorry?
It's got a bit of a feminine touch to it. It doesn't look like it's
interesting.
a hard letter. It's a very, very deep scar, and it looks old, like it's molded with his skin. It's on the back of his neck.
Without taking her eyes off of him and his neck rubbing, she says to Madeline, quietly and thoughtfully, I think your statement assumes better teachers than I have known.
Oh, I've met one or two who were quite more than they look. But the best teacher has been myself. And accepting certain things in my past.
Thor drains the glass. And he picks up the bowl that he washed with and takes it over to the sort of drain orifice that whichever the servants use to pour away water, and he pours it out. Then puts the bowl on a side table with the cloth on it. Seems automatic.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't seem to think about anything that he's doing.
Might
I would
I
just
ask?
have to hunch a little bit, because I imagine that the houses around here are designed for average height people, and he's well over 2 meters. So I think me and Charlotte worked out earlier that he's 2 meters 10, which is about 6'4".
Madeline will just look at this strange man. Well, not strange, but large man. She will just thought about it. Why are you so? What? I would not say you are apprehensive, although it might be the case that you are. I mean, some people, you do not seem to be the, well, nervous or shy type. Yet, when you met the two of us the first time, and now you seem a little reserved. I do not know, maybe it comes with your, well, not profession, as you said, but
He casts his eyes to the window and the stars outside. We have a little time left before the sun rises, and if I am not in my place, I will be discovered not in my place.
she keeps that close an eye on you.
Yes.
If I did not know better, I would say that she is controlling. almost as though she is afraid that you are perhaps interested in someone else.
He doesn't exactly laugh. You saw it the previous time. It's kind of a silent laugh. Grin.
I have not met your sire yet, but I would hope it is not the case that she is just, well, be a little bit jealous, perhaps.
She spends a lot of time with women of equal standing in our society. Some do not intimidate her, and some do. I could not say what her thoughts are on the matter. But I knew, one thing I know for a fact is that would I be discovered this late of an hour, this close to the time scale, not in the place that I'm supposed to be, it would not be just me that she would be coming for.
Johanna's brows raise before she quickly puts them back down again.
That sounds almost intriguing.
I just would have known that should be your answer.
What? That would mean that she takes a certain bit of pride.
You would not be. He doesn't just directly look at Madeline when he says this, he looks at Johanna as well. You would not be the first to incur her bad shift of temper and end up on the wrong side of the knife. I very much doubt you would be the last. He does not like intermingling between the clans on a non-professional level, if that's the question you are asking me. He smiles.
I could guess as much. Yet, unless of course you have not, if she is still by the right of accounting for your actions, you would still be a normal member of the society, no?
I'm free to. I'm recognized by the prince, but I'm also supposed to stay with my own, not trusted.
Surely, Madeline, you do not begrudge a woman her jealousies.
Oh, I suppose not. It's just a curious case. That is all.
Would you like to hear a story? A
That
Yes.
is why
bedtime
we
story?
are here.
I'm afraid it's not a very nice one.
Why? I cannot say that there has not been some uncomfortable stories told already.
He sits down.
The pleasant company will more than make up for an unpleasant story. I look forward to it.
A long time ago in a kingdom far away, there was a very beautiful and very powerful woman. She had everything a woman of her standing could ask for. Beautiful house, gold, food, servants, every wish, every desire attended to. And a husband. A husband who was respected and liked and intelligent, though not very loving. They tried for many years to have their own children, and she watched as her servants had multiple children. She prayed to the gods for assistance in this matter, but the gods did not hear her calls. One particular night, a boy of about 6 caught her attention. She was intrigued, and she took him under her wing as a personal favourite. He brought her wine and tended her animals, and he grew, and still no children were born. When the boy was 17, she came into his bedroom one night. I'm not going to give the details of that part of the story. I'm sure you are educated enough to make the guess. But several months later, a child was born. The noblewoman's husband was suspicious. He knew that he was staying late with his work, and the child did not resemble him. The child had these piercing eyes. He did not mark his own pale grey. So one night, when everyone was sleeping, they took the infant, threw it off the cliff into the sea. The noblewoman cried. She cried for what seemed like months, and then she started going out late at night, not returning till the sun was up. One night she didn't return at all, and then after that, we barely would see her during the day. So one of these nights, she comes into the boy's room and whispers, "It's time." He does not understand. Time for what? But he follows. He takes her hand and she leads him into the master bedchamber where her husband sleeps. And she cuts his throat. And then, in the flurry, in the panic, in the haze, the building burns. And the boy and the noblewoman leave. They leave the nice house and the nice things and they never come back. He takes the cup that he was drinking from and licks his fingers. So each mark is a lesson, and we all have our ways and our places in the world, our stories. But it's best not to cling on to these things. He smiles softly at them both.
Oh, I agree. Thank you. Thank you for that story.
That was a very good story. But you're right, not a comfortable one.
I haven't told it in a very long time.
Then you've honored us.
Seeing as you've welcomed me into your home,
No, think nothing of it. I still, it seemed weird that she would. Well, I suppose the story tells, of course, nothing of what happened to them afterwards, but the two were bound in love. Surely they must appreciate each other a great deal.
it wasn't love. It was never love. It was necessity. They had a relationship that was made out of needing each other out of desperation, survival. Of course, the boy loved her in his own way. She was the first woman that he'd ever seen that was very beautiful. And, at least for a time, pretended or played at affection. But the boy grew up. All boys do.
Well, I have met quite a few boys who never grow up, but oh well.
He grinned. Well, thank you very much for your company, ladies. I will, in no doubt, see you very soon.
I very
Thank
much
you
hope so.
very much for your story.
He'll go to each of them. To Madeline first, as she's simply because she's higher in rank. And if she allows, he will kiss her hand.
She will.
And then he goes to Yana and does the same.
Tana rises and offers him a very graceful, very courtly sort of curtsy, but she doesn't extend her hand to be kissed.
Nods.
Once he has moved back enough, like he's not going to try and take her hand, she offers him a gesture of blessing.
He doesn't try and take her hand. When he sees that it's concealed, he just dips into a bow and raises again. And then he will make his way out into the night, turning up to the path he took before, up into the path that leads off into the farmlands, into the wilds. The dog padding behind him.
Johanna turns and studies Madeline in the silence.
It would seem. I need to work a little bit more and getting him. Well, such things are rooted deeply, I suppose.
What things?
What more? His sense of duty, for one.
You would take that from him?
No. as I said before, I will try to enlighten him about what he is missing, but if he will not listen, I see little reason in trying when there are others who are willing to listen. Very few, but they are there.
Interesting. No, I think that he's not quite ready to listen to your lessons, but he has many of his own to teach.
Oh, I bet he does. It is not that annoying or irritating. He has a jealous woman, but I mean, he could sleep here. I would not mind that at all.
I see. I think I shall have to call upon his sire. I do not mind a jealous woman, and the best way to deal with them usually is to befriend them. Let them know that you
Oh,
mean them no harm.
I will speak with her at some point in the future. But
I hope
I'm
you will
not.
be careful.
Oh, I hope so. Depends on what type of woman she is, other than jealous. Tell me, if you can, of course, how did the solution with the florist go? You said before that you had been insulted enough for one night. That makes me a bit curious. Were
Yes.
insults flung back and forth?
Yes, they were. She hesitates and considers her words very carefully. We have many things to disagree over, but the matter is solved now. And I knew it would be from the moment that we began to speak. It is easy to be magnanimous when you know that you have the upper hand. And I do like being magnanimous.
Hmm. That I have very little doubt.
So it went well, to answer your question.
Very well.
It was not perhaps as pretty a solution as I should have liked. It was not dealt with artistically.
Such things rarely are.
No, unfortunately, you're correct. They rarely are. It's a pity.
But Torvald did have a point. The sun will be up soon.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for the company.
You are, of course, welcome to stay, but if you wish to come and get to your home, it's fine.
Yes. I will take my leave.
Very well.
I would
I
like to
am,
return at some time to hear your stories.
and I would like to hear yours, but I think we can meet quite soon.
Excellent.
And Madeline will follow Joanna to the door, bid her farewell, and I believe that this is where we will end our scene.
Yes.
Thank you very much, players, for playing, and watchers for watching. Good night.